Okay, so now we're going to talk about some really fun stuff. The 7 laws that govern the Vigor Gains mindset. Law number 1, desire. You can either choose to obey the law of desire or disobey the law of desire. You can either choose to have a desire about something or not. It's that simple. Once you actually have identified that you truly have a desire for something, now you can actually start to generate freedom in that area of your life. So let's take one particular area of your life. Let's just say that it's physically. Let's say that you want to do something about taking better care of yourself, whether it's better eating, whether it's all around, more exercise, whatever it is. You first of all have to start with a desire, obviously. You need to know, the most important piece to this though, is that you need to know why it is that you really want to have that better health. And you need to identify the big why. Your big why you want to accomplish better health. Is it because you want to spend more time with your loved ones in an active environment? Is it because you want to avoid the pain of somebody that you've seen that's actually going through very, very difficult time with their health probably because of several poor choices that they've made in the past. And now time has passed and here they are in this very captive situation. Is it because you want to spend more quality time as a grandparent actively, not spending the last 20 years of your life just kind of existing and living off of all kinds of medications, masking all kinds of symptoms that you've got? Once you have a desire and you know what the why is, now you have the ability to start generating freedom and not just let time pass and start living in the rut just like you have been in lots of areas. Once you get to that point, now you have to decide whether you're going to obey law number 2 or not. Law number 2, very, very quickly, right there attached to the law of desire, inseparably connected to it, is the law of asking. It's the law of the ask. So now you need to know what kinds of questions you need to start asking. Who do I need to start talking to? Where do I need to start looking? Who's been successful with their health before? You need to go on a quest, which is now attaching ourselves to the 3rd law, which is right there inseparably connected to asking, as to the seeking process. I need to know whether I'm going to be willing to obey the law of seeking or not. So to seek, this process is, simply put, all of your research. It's the time where you're out there interviewing people, you're going online, you're Googling all over the place, you're reading books, you're just getting information. And once you're acquiring this information, there's all kinds of things that you're going to read, that some of them that you're not going to agree with, some that you will agree with. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for all these truth nuggets, what I call the truth nuggets, that you pick out and you say, that's something that I want to attach to myself, which leads us to the next law. Law number 4, the law of receiving. I get to choose whether I'm going to receive that information that I've just sought out or not. If I choose not to receive it, then the freedom cycle shuts off and I'm instantly just going to start becoming more captive. No time has to pass for this to happen, and just, very slowly but surely, time keeps on going, and I'm not generating freedom anymore, so I'm going to become more captive. So, receiving. I like to liken this to, I like to tell the parable of the cheap rose when I'm talking about the law of receiving. The parable of the cheap rose is this. Let's just say that it's your anniversary. Let's say that you forgot your anniversary. Let's just say there's a time when you've forgotten your anniversary. Not that this has ever happened before. Let's just say that you forgot your anniversary. Let's just say that you're a male, you forgot your anniversary, 10-year anniversary, and you've been at work all day long, very, very busy, and obviously love your wife, care about her and everything, but you've had an incredibly busy day, and it literally did not dawn on you one single time because of all these external pressures that are happening at work that it was your anniversary. So here it is, 10 o'clock at night, and you're on your way home. And you pass by this convenience store. It's the only place open. And you go in and they got one little tiny cheap rose in the little plastic, the little nasty cheap little thing. And that's all they've got. And you're thinking, oh, she's going to kill me. This is not exactly, I know what she's expecting. But anyway, out of the kindness of your heart, because it's the best you can do right then, you buy this rose and you bring it home to her. Now, your wife can choose, or your sweetheart can choose to obey the law of receiving or not. You just gave her a gift. You walk in, you give her a gift, right? She gets to choose whether she's going to receive that gift or not. Now, her expectations all day long might have been 2 dozen long stem freshly cut roses, candlelit dinner, night out on the town, whatever it is. She still gets to choose, regardless of what her expectations are, no matter how small the gift is, whether she's going to obey the law of receiving or not. If she chooses to obey the law of receiving, think about how powerful this is. Think about how powerful it is if she chooses not to. What if right when you walk in, you give it to her and she says, I knew it. I knew it. You forgot again. You don't even care about us, do you? How does that make you feel? What does that do for the relationship? Is there more freedom or more captivity generated for the both of you? Contrast that with if she simply chose, no matter how small it was, to obey the law of receiving. She takes the rose and says something like, I love you so much. I've been thinking about you all day, and I just want you to know how much I care about us. And how was your day today? Now, how is he going to feel? What's the difference, and how is he going to feel? He's going to feel like, man, I just wanted to do so much more for her. In contrast to the feeling of, I blew it again, and like just feeling reprimanded and feeling like you're in the doghouse, to, I just want to give her so much more. She deserves so much more. Who's going to receive more? That person who obey the law of receiving, or that person who doesn't? I know for me, if that was to have happened to me, I mean, I would just be like, I would want to shower her with more the next day, because now here we are in the situation where I feel like I haven't given her enough. The power of the law of receiving can never be underestimated. We often talk about the law of giving and how powerful it is to give things to people, and it's so powerful. And we all need to be living a life like that, outside of ourselves, giving of our time and of our energy, doing things for other people. But equally as important is living the law of receiving the information and the things that we've gathered to be the ways that we can become more free in any area of our life. So, once we receive this information, now comes the law, the fifth law of acting. The law to act. Like I said before, you can either act or you will be acted upon. There is no alternative. You get to choose whether you are going to make things happen or whether you're going to have things happen to you. You get to choose whether you're going to be proactive or reactive. There is no in between. Every single molecule, every single atom, for every single action there is an opposite and equal reaction. They proved that in the laboratory. If you act on these things, all of a sudden your life starts to change. But it doesn't happen easily. Almost every single time you're going out there and doing things that you haven't done before, or changing, going through this process of actually pushing out against the resistance, there's friction. It's hard. Sometimes you have to actually step out into that darkness to make this happen. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable to make it happen. But if you want to have freedom, increased freedom in that area of your life, there is no alternative. You have to obey the law of action. Now, I can choose to just act once if I want, or I can choose to obey the law of persistence. The number 6 law is the law to persist. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, that which we persist in doing becomes easier to do. Not that the nature of the thing itself has changed, but that our power to do has increased. Think about that. Not that the nature of the thing itself has changed. It's still just as hard to wake up at 6 o'clock and go do an hour-long workout as it was 2 weeks ago, but now it might be a little bit easier because you've been doing it for a while, and a little bit easier next month because you've been doing it a little while, and you can increase and you can expand and you can keep on getting more and more and more aerobic activity. You can keep, it becomes that much easier to be eating healthier because now you've gotten past those bad habits, and anything that we persist in doing becomes easier to do because our power to act has expanded. It's increased. So now you know the formula to engage in the freedom cycle, to generate more power and freedom and ability to act in any area of your life. Now, law number 7, and not in order, law number 7 is all-encompassing. If I ever, at one single point along the way, disobey any of these laws, I shut off the freedom cycle. The 7th law is the law of accountability. You sit exactly where you are right now, watching this video, because of a culmination of the actions or reactions that you've had and that you've made to every single thing that has happened in your life. You sit exactly where you are because you are a 100% accountable agent. Now, sure, bad things have happened to you. Bad things have happened to me. Bad things have happened to everybody. We're all so-called victimized in lots of different ways. Sometimes very, very good, innocent people, little kids, all kinds of people are taken advantage of, are victimized. You ever heard of Dave Reaver, the guy who had the 5,000-degree phosphorus grenade go off right here in his hand as he was getting ready to throw it, and it blew his whole face off? He has detachable ears. You ever seen him talk? You've all seen people like this before. They've had bad, horrific things happen to them, and yet they go out there and make the world a better place. Anybody can do that, and it's through the 7 laws that govern the Bigger Gains mindset. It all happens in your mind. So then the way to make this very easy to remember, and any day, and any given second of any given day, if you just ask yourself this simple question: right now, am I wearing my victim glasses or am I wearing my accountability glasses? My victim glasses turned upside down. I'm looking through different lenses now. There is no alternative. Think about this. You've had bad things happen to you in your life. Nobody doubts that. Everybody knows that. It's the reality. Everybody has. Misery enjoys company, and oftentimes we like to look for allies, for those people who we know are going to be willing to listen to our sob stories and victim stories. But will that give you any more freedom? If you spend the time telling somebody about how much of a victim you've been, is in that moment in time, is that going to be creating more freedom or more captivity for yourself? Now, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be an actual grieving process and a difficulty and actually reaching out with compassion to people who have hard things happen in their life. I am 100% proponent of making sure that we are compassionate about these kinds of things. However, we get to choose how we are going to react in the end to anything that happens to us. And then we now take charge of our lives. We get to stay inside the freedom cycle. We get to keep continuously pushing against the resistance and that captivity that will crush us if we aren't acting and choosing our reactions very, very carefully.